ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. We have great pleasure to welcome participants for today's very special program. Today is Janmashtami. We wish all our viewers a very happy Janmashtami. So today's lecture will cover two topics. First, we will talk a little about Janmashtami. We have already covered in bits and pieces in our earlier classes, but we will do that a little more detail now. Actually, as far as Krishna is concerned, every time we hear about him, some new details will be revealed. It is said that Lord Anantadeva, he is the snake bed of Lord Vishnu, has thousands of hoods, and from the beginning of time, he has been trying to chant the glories of the Lord, but he has not completed, and he won't complete till the end of time. Such is the glory of the Supreme Lord. So the more we talk about him, the more we hear about him, the more we know about him, but we will never know him completely. That is the glory of Krishna. The scriptures even inform that there is one thing that Krishna himself does not know. There is just one thing, and that is his own glories. But there is not a limitation because his glories are always increasing, always increasing. Krishna's beauty is always increasing. So it's something so amazing. It's a constantly expanding thing. Krishna is not a static something so that he can draw a boundary around him. He's ever expanding, he's totally dynamic. He is reciprocating as per the needs of every soul, and there are unlimited souls, and there are unlimited ways of reciprocation by Lord Sri Krishna. So we'll talk a little bit about Janmashtami, and then something about Govardhan Leela. Each of these topics can be discussed for hours together, but within the limitations of time, we will try to cover it to the best of our ability. Let us take the beautiful darshan of Radha Shyamasundar along with their two prominent Shakis, Lalita on the right side and Vishaka on the left side. This is the main altar of Vrindavan. Vrindavan ISKCON temple in Vrindavan. This is Radha Shyamsundar. Yesterday we saw Krishna Balram. Today we have put Radha Shyamsundar. Both are from the same temple. So we are going to be talking about Janmashtami. Krishna was born simultaneously to two people. So this is a new information for you. Krishna was born simultaneously to Devaki and Vasudev in the prison house of Mathura and to Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda in Gokul at the same time. The Krishna who took birth in Mathura, we heard that he was born with 4 arms. He was born as Vishnu. with everything, with his Vaidurya crown and his Shankha Chakra Gada Padma and his full grown hair, and with the body completely ornamented like that, the Krishna was born there. So he's called Vasudeva Krishna. He's the Mahavishnu. At the same time, Yashoda in Gokul gave birth to actually twins. One was a girl, she is the Yogamaya, and the second was Krishna himself. But this Krishna is different. He is Brajendra Nandan Krishna. Brajendra is Nanda Maharaja, his child, Brajendra Nandan Krishna. He was born with just two arms, as you will always see Krishna. The blackish monsoon cloud-like form of Krishna with two arms was born to Yashoda. And the Yogamaya child was originally in the womb of Rohini Devi. But you remember the Balaram, who was in the womb of Devaki in the prison as the seventh child before the birth of Lord Krishna. He was moved from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb, who was staying with Nanda and Yashoda in Gokul. That job was entrusted to Yogamaya Devi. This Yogamaya was already in the Garbha of Rohini Devi, but after shifting Balramji into her womb, she herself shifted to Yashoda's womb. Before that, for some time, actually for one whole year, Nanda and Yashoda were observing a very severe fast, praying to the Lord that they should get a child. And during this time, one day, there used to be many interesting experiences, but one day especially, as they were sleeping, they saw a beautiful child in their dream. Nanda Maharaja saw one lovely blue colored child with eyes like lotus petals, with curling hair surrounding his beautiful moon-like face. The body was like freshly churned butter, so soft, and he was shining with great effulgence, and he was smiling with his beautiful eyes and lips to Nanda Maharaja. Same way, Yashoda also got a dream. And suddenly, they both got up from sleep. And they were looking at each other. Nanda was trying to tell Yashoda something. And Yashoda was trying to tell Nanda something. But both of them could not speak. Words were not coming. Their bodies were shivering. Tears were flowing like torrents from their eyes. Their hairs on the body was standing on end. And their throat was choking. And so no sound was coming down. And Nanda was telling, okay, Yashoda, you tell. And Yashoda was saying, no, you tell, because their words are not coming. But they understood that they had got the special dream, same time, both of them. And they had seen the child who was going to be born to them. So in the midnight hour, two children were born to Yashoda, but Yashoda was in so much tiredness and she just went off to sleep because Yogamaya Devi arranged it. So same time, Vasudeva was bringing his child to Yashoda. And when his child reached Gokul and they reached Nanda Maharaja's house, the child who Vasudeva brought, it merged in the body of Yashoda's child. That child of Vasudeva, so Vasudeva Krishna merged in the body of Brajendra Nandan Krishna. And so Vasudeva left his child here and took the Yogamaya Devi with him back to Mathura. So this is the interesting story of how Krishna took birth in two places at the same time. In the month of Shravan, Ashtami, the 8th waning moon, and under the star Rohini. That is the time he took birth. Actually, scriptures explain that around the time Krishna was taking birth, the whole world became pleasant. Cool breezes were blowing, and there were gentle clouds in the sky, thundering very pleasantly, as though playing mridanga. All the birds in the forest, even though it was midnight, they all started cooing and chirping very pleasantly. Lotus flowers started blooming in the lakes and ponds and rivers at night. Lotuses bloom only in daytime, but this is a special time. Krishna is taking birth. So lotus flowers bloomed. At the same time, lily flowers that blossom at night, they were also in full blossom. So it was a very extraordinary sight that flowers that bloom in the day and night both were blossoming at the same time. Similarly, some flowers that bloom only in summer and some flowers that bloom only in winter. And this time, which is the actually rainy season, all these flowers were blossoming at the same time. And there was such a beautiful atmosphere. Honey was flowing out of the trees automatically. The cows' udders, they filled with milk. And the Brahmanas who were so much afraid of performing their yajna, they were afraid of raising the sacrificial fire because of the fear of Nanda Maharaja. They saw fire naturally arising in their yajna kunda, a very pleasant fire. And the entire constellations in the sky, they arranged themselves in such an auspicious formation, heralding the arrival of Krishna. And the moon, which was already half waned, it is the 8th day of the waning moon, but that moon appeared full in the sky as though it was a full moon. Why? Because Krishna was born in the Chandravamsa, in the lunar dynasty. So such was the beautiful birth of Krishna. And Vasudeva, who was in the prison house, he was so happy to get his child, and he wanted to give thousands of cows in donation to Brahmanas. He wanted to donate mountains of grains and thousands of cows decorated completely in gold. Had he been a free king, he would have done that. But now he's in forest. Mentally, he offered all these charities. But Nanda Maharaja, he was in Gokul, and what Vasudeva wanted to do, and he did it in his mind, Nanda Maharaja actually performed it. So the news of the birth of the child, when Nanda Maharaja heard it, he could not even walk, his voice was choking, his tears started flowing, and he started walking towards the house. And Narayana, whom Nanda Maharaja is always worshipping in his heart, he supported him on his way back to his house. And the news spread throughout Vrajbhumi. And not only Nanda and Yashoda were waiting for a child for so many years, but the entire Vraj was waiting that their king and queen should get a child. They loved their king and queen so much, and the king and queen themselves loved the citizens as though they were their own children. So the moment the news spread, everybody, all the Gopas and Gopis, got dressed in their finest dresses and jewelry. You may be wondering, they are cowherd people. How can they have so much jewelry? Actually, in those days, the main business was Goraksha Vanijya, maintaining cows, maintaining agriculture, and trading in these products. That was the business of Vaishyas. Nanda Maharaja is a Vaishya, and he is the Vaishya king. And all the Vrajvasis, they are all Vaishyas. So because they were producing so much milk and milk products and grains, they were actually very rich. So they all started moving towards Nanda Maharaja's house. It was like so many rivers coming from different places merging in the ocean, crowds coming from everywhere. They were all merging in the house of Nanda Maharaja. And they were all bedecked in their beautiful dresses and ornaments. And when they saw Krishna, they became so thrilled by the sight of baby Krishna. And they bathed Krishna, and then Nanda Maharaja started giving donations to everyone who came. He just opened his granary, he opened his treasury, and he did not deny anything to anyone. That is how Nanda Utsav was celebrated. And anyone who laid their eyes on the baby Krishna, they could not take it off. And this little baby was simultaneously reciprocating with everyone. We all know that is a special quality of the Supreme Lord. Until now, we thought about God as somebody very powerful, who can do anything. He knows everything. He is present everywhere. We had such vague ideas about God. But now we get a very special conception of God, which is He is the perfect reciprocator. He reciprocates perfectly. If you hate Him, He will hate you. If you love Him, He will love you. If you say Krishna does not exist, He will never come in front of you. If you say Krishna is everywhere, you can see Him everywhere. You remember the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahalada. Hiranyakashipu was asking, you are always chanting Hari, Hari. Where is your Hari? And Prahalada says, He is everywhere. And again, Hiranyakashipu asks Prahalad, after trying to kill him in so many ways, he becomes really scared. This child has become a friend of my enemy, and he has become invincible, and he has become immortal. I have performed so much tapasya to get my powers, but this child is 5 years old. From where did he get so much powers? So Nanda Maharaja asked Prahalad, oh my son Prahalad, from where are you getting these powers that I am trying to kill you in so many ways, but you are not dying? The little baby, clasping his eyes in front of his father, he replied, my dear father, I am getting my powers from the same place from where you are getting your powers. But Hiranyakashipu was not aware. So this is the problem of atheists. They don't know from where their power is coming. But those who are worshippers of Krishna, they know precisely that all that they have, whether it is a power of their mind or intelligence or their physical body or their wealth, everything is given by Krishna. So that mood is what distinguishes a devotee and a non-devotee. So here there is a massive celebration going on. And it is said in Bhagavatam that the men and women, they were so happy, they were throwing butter balls on each other. There was a huge game, and Nanda Maharaj also joined in his great joy. After waiting for such a long time, now he is getting the Supreme Lord as his child. So the celebrations went on. And here, just I wanted to show you little pictures of Krishna growing up. Here, Nanda Maharaja wants to go out. He is telling baby Krishna, please fetch my slippers. And the little baby, he is not able to carry the weight of the wooden shoes of Nanda Maharaja. See how he is trying to balance it on his head. And Yashoda Ma is looking and smiling. And here, it's a very special picture of Nanda Maharaja with Radharani on his left lap and Krishna in his right lap. Both are dressed in a very similar hairstyle and they are smiling at each other. What a great fortune. Actually, incidentally, Radharani is born to Vrishabhanu, who is also a Vaishya king, who is also in Vraja. So they are good friends of each other. Vrishabhanu and Kirtida Devi and Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Devi, they are good friends. And this is a family portrait of Krishna, which includes Nanda Maharaja, Yashoda, and the little calves. Krishna can never be without the calves. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya Cha. In another shloka we say, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. So Go, he loves cows. And then Brahmanas. Who is a Brahmana? Not by birth. A Brahmana is not someone who says, I am a Brahmin by birth. No. A Brahmana is by quality. Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha. We will discuss these in great detail at a future point of time. It is something that all of us need to know. Krishna says, I have created 4 kinds of people in terms of their qualities and work, not by birth. This is called Daiva Varnashrama. Krishna created that. We will definitely discuss this in our future classes when we talk about Bhagavad Gita in greater detail. So this beautiful family portrait of Krishna, we are taking darshan. And now we shall move on to, there is so much more to talk about Janmashtami, but maybe we will find another time. Now we will talk about Govardhan Leela. As Krishna was growing up, he was around 7 years of age. One day, Krishna came back from his outing, and there he saw his father, the king, surrounded by various Gopa men, and they were having a serious meeting. And they had also collected so many provisions, almost like a mountain. So Krishna asked his father, Father, what are you doing? What are you discussing? Father kept silent because he thought, little baby, what he will understand. Then Krishna said, Father, within the family, there should be no secrets. Everything should be shared. There should be no secrets between the members of the family. Please explain to me what you are now trying to do. Then Nanda Maharaja told Krishna, see, we are a cowherd family. We are a cowherd community. We depend on the rains. Only with the rains, the grass grows nicely, and that is the fodder for our cows. And then the cows give us milk with which we make various products, and we sell it in the city of Mathura, and that is how we maintain ourselves. So the king of rains is Indra. So it is by the power of Indra, by the blessing and compassion of Indra, by the bounty of Indra, that we are maintaining ourselves. There are good rains and grass is growing everywhere in Vrindavan forest and in the Govardhana hill. And we have 9 lakh cows. Nanda Maharaja had 9 lakh cows. And all these cows are very well fed. So every year we celebrate this Indra Puja by way of giving our thanks to Indra. You see, if you receive some benefit from someone and you don't return it to them, you become an ungrateful person. An ungrateful person has no place in the heavens. Everyone should remember even a small benefit that they received from somebody. So this is our way of returning our thanks to Indra. And at that time, Krishna knew that Indra was listening. And Indra is the king of gods and is a devotee of Krishna. All the devatas are devotees of Krishna. We have discussed it in Gita Mahatmya. But sometimes, because of enjoying material opulences, they become puffed up. And Krishna understood that actually Indra was also puffed up at this time. So Krishna became a very talkative boy and he spoke to his father like this. He told his father, Father, where is the need to worship Indra? Indra is a god appointed for a specific purpose. His business is to give rains. And as long as we are running our life following the dharmic principles, we are not breaking the laws of God, not breaking the laws of nature. We are strictly worshipping the gods and doing our duties without any deviation. Then it is the duty of Indra to give us the rains. He cannot hold back the rains. So why we have to give this special worship to Indra? So Nanda Maharaja was taken aback. He said, but this is our practice. Krishna said, is it by practice or is it prescribed in the Vedas? Nanda Maharaja said, no, it is actually our tradition, but we are doing it for so long and we should continue. Krishna said, no, this time we will worship the Govardhana hill because it is the hill which is giving all the fodder for our cows and the calves. The hill is producing so much of pleasant water for us. When we go to herd the cows, we are able to drink that water. And it has nice caves which are cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And we are able to have so many plays in the Govardhana hill. We all enjoy our outings there. And the kind of grass that Govardhan produces, they are so nourishing for our cows and they are able to produce bountiful milk. So Govardhan stops the clouds and it makes the rains to fall in Vrindavan area. So in all these ways, Govardhan is our benefactor. So let us use all these ingredients and let us worship Govardhan. Nanda Maharaja said, no, let us worship Indra now, then we will also worship Govardhan as you suggest. Krishna said, no, it cannot wait. Now only we should do. And Nanda Maharajas and Maharaja and the Gopas, they never do anything which Krishna doesn't want. And they always do what Krishna wants. And this is a lesson for us. Why we read Bhagavad Gita? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells what he likes and what he does not like. So it is for us to understand this and then model our life accordingly. Anukulyena santarpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. Whatever Krishna likes, we should decide in our mind, I will do only that. And what Krishna does not like, we should not do. With that decision in our heart, we become very dear to Krishna. All the Gopas and the Gopis, all the Vrajavasis are dear to Krishna because of this one reason. They will always listen to what Krishna says because they love him completely. In that complete love, they have surrendered to Krishna. We are in this material world. When somebody says surrender, we become very angry. Why I should surrender? I will never surrender. Unless somebody puts a gun on our head and says surrender, then we will put our head up. But that time also, we don't really surrender in our heart. In our heart, we are meditating, how can I escape from this fellow? But the Vrajavasis, their love for Krishna is so total that the surrender is automatic. They are not conscious of their surrender. The love of Krishna has conquered them completely. And that is the beauty of Vraj. And that is Krishna's own place. God's own country, that is Vrindavan. Krishna's own land it is. The same spiritual planet of Goloka, Krishna has manifested in the Bhauma Goloka, which is 160 kilometers south of Delhi. That is the Vrindavan. But we cannot see until we develop the eyes of love, which is available to the pure devotees of Krishna. When we develop pure love of Krishna, the same Goloka of the spiritual world, we can see in this Vrindavan. And that is our prayer always on this Janmashtami. Also, let us all pray to Krishna. Please give me those eyes of love. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shyama sundaram achintya gunasvarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji prays to Krishna like this. Prema anjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Lochan means eyes. Prema anjana means, you apply that black ointment to beautify the eyes. But the devotee uses prema as the anjana to decorate his eyes, his or her eyes. Love is the ointment around the eyes that makes you beautiful in the eye of Krishna. Such people, prema anjana churita bhakti vilochanena, their eyes are seeing with bhakti. For them, santa sadaiva, always in the hearts of such noble people, sadaiva, always, hridayeshu, in their heart, vilokayanti, he is always visible. How? Shyama sundaram, in his monsoon cloud-like blackish body. Shyama sundaram, so beautiful. Achintya gunaswarupam, he is filled with inconceivable qualities. He is made of Sat Chit Ananda body. So, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahmaji says, that Govinda I worship. Govinda means, it has two meanings. Go means cow. It has another meaning, the senses. So one who gives pleasure to the cows and one who gives pleasure to all our senses. Throughout our life, we are looking for pleasure through our senses by trying to collect so many sense objects. Including our mind, we have 6 senses. Mind is also a sense. It is the king of our senses. All these senses are constantly looking for pleasure. But The ultimate pleasure is feasting on the beauty of Krishna. Krishna's beauty, asama urdhva. There is no one equal to him. There is no one superior to him. Matta parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Arjuna, nothing is greater than me. The entire creation is like a necklace of pearls, and I am the thread that runs through that necklace. So, for those who are not devotees, Krishna is invisible. So, that is the Krishna. So, he is telling Nanda Maharaja, let us use all these ingredients and right away, without losing time, let us go and worship Govardhan. So, the whole party starts. Everyone brings everything from their home, and in their carts, they go with all the grains, fruits, and everything. And the whole family, father, mother, children, and the cows, they are all setting off to Govardhan Hill. This is Krishna returning from pasturing grounds, and Nanda and Yashoda are receiving him every day. This is not once in a while scene. This is the scene every day in the evening. And this is the Govardhan, to which this is the aerial view of the Govardhan Hill. And they all go to Govardhan. And then they cook mountains of rice, mountains of rotis, and pools and rivers of dal and sabjis and sweet rice. So many different items they produce, gulab jamuns, rasgullas, and so many different eatables. And they all offer it in front of Govardhan. So Govardhan almost surrounded by so much of food, mountains of food. And then they offer, Krishna offers on behalf of the entire Vrajabhumi, O Govardhan, Giriraj, please accept our offerings. Then instantly, one huge form manifests on top of the Govardhan hill, and is looking exactly like Krishna. A bluish form, but the size of the mountain, a huge mountain, and he has long arms. With these long arms, he picks up everything that is served and puts it into his mouth. Within no time, all the food has disappeared. At that time, some people in the Vraj area, they are even then cooking. They want to bring more and more food to Krishna. And the Govardhan, Giriraj, is extending his hands into their house and taking the chapati right from the tawa. He is just taking it. And like that, whatever is cooked, Krishna has taken. And then Krishna is saying, Aniyor, Aniyor, means I want more, I want more. But people are looking at each other. Whatever they had in their house, they have brought. This is the mood of Rajavasis. They don't hold back anything. They are not thinking, oh, tomorrow we have to cook, let us keep something. No, they have brought everything. And everything has been offered. And Krishna is looking at Nanda Maharaja, and they are looking at each other. And then Krishna says, all right, just bring one Tulsi Manjari. Tulsi Manjari means 2 leaves and the flower in the center, right? That is a Manjari. He says, bring that. And then Krishna offers that Manjari, saying, oh Giriraj, please be satisfied with this. And Giriraj becomes satisfied. And he is exactly like Krishna. You know, his eyes are like lotus petals. His body is like the blackish monsoon cloud. He's nicely having blackish hair curling around his shoulders. His face is like the moon. His lips are red. And he's wearing Makara Kundala. His body is ornamented with so many wonderful ornaments. He's wearing Pitambara clothes. And then every food that disappeared into the mouth of Govardhan, he remanifested everything back. And everything was back as it was. And then Govardhan, Giriraj disappeared. Then Krishna said, now this is the prasadam of Govardhan, of Giriraj. Now you serve it to everyone. Let the Brahmanas take it first. They are the people who are always worshipping the Lord. Their heart is filled with God always. They have no other business. They don't go for employment. They are not looking for jobs. Their only business is Patan Patan, Yajan Yajan, Dana Parigraha. They are only doing They study the Vedas and they teach the Vedas for free. They don't charge. They teach others. Then they perform yajna, and if somebody says, please come and perform a yajna for my family, they will go and perform yajna. And whatever they give, they will accept it happily. And rest of the time, they are only begging, and whatever people give, they accept it, and they give charity. They don't keep with them. Whatever they get, they give it away in charity. Overnight, a Brahmana will be empty, nothing he will have. So they are to be served first. And these Brahmanas, qualified Brahmanas, they always live in the forest only. They don't even come to the village or town. Their life is totally dedicated to God. And they are the advisors of the king. They are called Kshatriyas. The kings are supposed to rule the land under the advice of Brahmanas. Brahmanas will never take a position under the king. They will only give fearless advice to the king. And the kings entirely depend on the Brahmanas to guide them. Such was the system which prevailed in those days. And there was prosperity all around. So after feeding the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, Shudras, everybody was fed under the instruction of Krishna. And then Krishna said, feed all the animals, the cows, you feed all the cows. And then the dogs and the monkeys, everybody was sumptuously fed with wonderful prasadam. And everybody was happy. Then Krishna said, let us do a parikrama of Govardhan. So they all started doing a parikrama. These are some more views of the beautiful Govardhan hill. These are cows grazing. This is another view of Govardhan. If you go around Govardhan, you get different views in different parts. Some parts Govardhan will completely disappear from your view, and some parts they will appear. And this is a Govardhan constructed by devotees. The entire Govardhan is made of halwa. Some devotees make him out of halwa. Some people make him out of rice. The whole mountain of rice they make. So like that, different ways, this festival is celebrated. And see, the people are doing parikrama here. But this is a man-made Govardhan of food. Ultimately, the entire, after everybody has circumambulated, then it will be distributed as prasadam to everyone. There will be enough prasadam for everybody. So this is another Annakut scene from a temple. This is also an Annakut. So unlimited amount of prasadam is prepared and it is distributed and consumed by everybody happily. And then this is the parikrama of Govardhan. Look at these people. How we wish that we should be part of this crowd. Govardhan parikrama. So many people are doing happily. And while going, they are all chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You can see the bead bag in their hands. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the monkeys are guarding all the roadsides. They will also get fed. So this is Govardhan parikramas. Like that, they all perform the parikrama along with their cows and their children and everybody. And Indra was watching from the sky. What is this nonsense going on? This talkative boy, he could no longer recognize that it is Krishna. This talkative boy has totally changed the minds of these people and they have become illusioned and they have denied my share. So Indra immediately became angry and he wanted to destroy the Vrajabhumi. So he called the Samvartaka clouds. These clouds are usually taking rest until the Pralaya comes. Pralaya means that is a time the world has to be destroyed. At that time only the Samvartaka clouds have work. They simply suck out the ocean and they pour it on the land. Now what is happening? Normal clouds arise from the oceans always. 75% of the world is covered by water. So more than 75% of the rain also falls on the water only. So we are all safe. Only 20% of the rain perhaps falls on the land mass. Otherwise 75% is water. But Samvartaka clouds, they suck out the ocean and they pour all the water on the land. You can imagine. And Indra said, you go and destroy Vrajabhumi. And so, under the order of Indra, And he said, I will personally come in my Airavada and lead the attack. So the Samvartaka cloud started pouring rain. Suddenly, day became night in the Vrajabhumi, and the rain started falling. Each drop was like a pillar falling from the sky. The cows were totally amazed by this sudden change of scene. Cold wind was blowing and everybody was shivering. And the cows were trying to protect their calves by keeping them under their feet. But so much rain was attacking on their bodies, they all ran towards Krishna. And same thing happened to all the Vrajavasis. Everyone ran towards Krishna and started, Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga, please save us from this calamity that has come. Nanda Maharaja told Krishna, you see, we have disobeyed Indra. The worship that we were doing every year, this year we have stopped. So Indra is attacking us. Only you can save us. So this is the beauty of Vrajabhumi. For them, Krishna is a simple child. They don't see him as God. But whenever anything happens, they run to Krishna. Automatically, spontaneously, without premeditating, naturally it happens to them. When it will happen to us? That in any situation of our life, we will only turn to Krishna. Then we become fearless, just by praying to Krishna, just by admitting our issues to Krishna. Whether we are happy or sad, whether there is a good news or a bad news, whether we are planning anything in our life, we have to tell Krishna first. We have to make Krishna the head of our family. And all of us, we have to become his servants. That is a mood of Vraja. So everybody surrenders to Krishna and they become fearless. And then Krishna smiled. He just bent down. Remember, Krishna is a 7-year-old boy. He bent down, he picked up the Govardhan by the root and he lifted him up on the little finger of his left hand. He balanced Govardhan there. And smilingly, Krishna said, all of you come under the hill. You have just now worshipped Govardhan, and Govardhan is here to give all of you protection. Please come under the hill. And you may think, oh, but uprooting the hill means the basement would be very hard, and how all the people can stand there. It should be very uneven surface, rugged surface. But no, it was beautiful grass. Nice grass was spread everywhere with nice flowers and blooms and everything. Such a nice sight. And then when the hill was lifted, the sides fell down. So it created a nice compound wall. So nothing of the rain could ever reach inside. It was totally sealed from outside. And all the people were standing. Krishna was standing in the center with the Govardhana hill in his hand. And you know, Krishna as the perfect reciprocator, he was looking at everyone. Not that those standing behind Krishna, they could not see his beautiful lotus-like face. No, Krishna was facing everyone and his eyes were looking at everybody. So everyone was interacting with Krishna in their special mood. Nanda Maharaja is looking and he's thinking, oh, how Krishna is balancing. All the Gopas are seeing, it must be so difficult for Krishna. We should give him some support. So they are raising their cow-herding sticks, and they are trying to support the hill. You might have seen some of these pictures. They are trying to balance the mountain. Then, there is Madhumangal. He's a favorite Brahmin boy, a very favorite of Krishna. He says, no, you don't worry. I have chanted some special mantras. And by the power of my mantra, Krishna will not feel any difficulty in holding the mountain. Yashoda becomes so angry with Madhumangal. Stop this nonsense. See, Krishna is in so much trouble. His finger must be paining so much. He cannot keep quiet. He's always a restless boy. He disobeyed Indra, and because of this, he has brought this trouble. Now, for saving all of us, he is holding a huge mountain on his little finger. And she says, see, his body is sweating. So much sweat is pouring on his body. But actually what is happening? Krishna is looking at all the Vrajavasis and then his eye catches Radharani. And Radharani's eye catches Krishna. And then there is a shiver in Krishna's body and he is sweating. That loving exchange. and the hill slightly shakes. And then, oh, everybody becomes scared. And Yashoda says, oh, my son should be really tired. And she tries to feed him. In the meantime, what Krishna does, he pulls out the flute from his dhoti. It is stuck on his dhoti. He pulls out with his one hand, and with one hand he starts playing the flute. Such a beautiful sound comes out from the flute, and everybody is mesmerized. And then Madhumangal says, oh Krishna, that Brahmin boy, no? He tells Krishna, oh Krishna, stop playing the flute. Why? Why? Because we have always experienced when you blow the flute, moving things become frozen. Like Yamuna Devi, the flowing river freezes when she hears your sound. But solid things start melting. Govardhan starts melting. The rocks of Govardhan become soft and they start melting. Now Krishna is holding the Govardhan on his hand. Now if Govardhan starts melting, what will happen to all of us? That is what Madhumangal's question. Like this it is happening. Outside, the rain is pouring down on the mountain, but not even a blade of grass is disturbed by this rain. You know, Indra is telling the clouds, come on, pour more, attack. He's attacking with his thunder weapon, but nothing is happening. Why? Because Krishna's little finger is touching Govardhan mountain. That is supplying all the loving ecstasy to Govardhan. And Govardhan is in complete ecstasy of Krishna Prema. In that Krishna Prema, he is not feeling anything. And the same thing is passed on to all the trees, all the grass, all the plants, and all the animals like lions, tigers, deer, snakes, all the creatures, they are all in ecstasy. And the lion is looking at the cloud and it's roaring. Oh, what you can do to us like that. Nothing is happening. Not even one particle of sand is disturbed. It is also said that Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra was flying around the Giriraj and every drop of water was simply sucked away by the Sudarshan Chakra and it was remaining completely dry. This went on for 7 days and 7 nights. All these days, all the Vrajavasis are under the Govardhan and they are feasting on the beautiful sight of Krishna. And Krishna is glancing at everyone. That unbelievable exchange of love is happening there. And Krishna is playing with his flute. So it is said, while outside that rain was going on, inside was a different kind of rain. The raining of the loving, compassionate glance of Krishna on everyone. That was the rain. And where was the cloud? Krishna himself was the blackish monsoon cloud. And his yellow dhoti is like the lightning. No, his pitambara, that is like the lightning. And everybody is enjoying a Nayana Utsava. Nayana means eyes. Utsava means festival. It's a festival of eyes for 7 days and 7 nights. You all will remember, every day when Krishna goes out for grazing the cows, the Gopas, the Gopis, Nanda Maharaja, Yashoda, they are longing when they will come back. Until they disappear from sight, they will keep looking at them. And then by the time it is time for them to return, first what will come? Dust will come. Dust from the hooves of the cows and the calves will come. And then everybody will become alert. Oh, now the boys are coming. Krishna and Balaram are coming. And they are all just waiting to take their darshan. So they are always longing for Krishna's darshan. They even curse Brahma for creating these eyelids, which once in a while it closes and opens for a nanosecond. But the Brajavasis become aware of that because the beauty of Krishna, they don't want to miss it even for a nanosecond. So Krishna wanted to reciprocate with them. Yesterday we saw how Brahma Vimohan Leela became an opportunity for Krishna to reciprocate with all the mothers and fathers. Similar way here, 7 days and 7 nights continuously, everybody was feasting on the beauty of Krishna. And Krishna was glancing at everyone and flooding them with his love. So that was the 7 days of festival under the mountain. At the end of these 7 days, the Samvartaka clouds had become so tired, being driven by Indra personally. They had exhausted themselves and they said, "Sir, no more, please give us rest." And Indra finally woke up. His ego was completely smashed and destroyed. Indra finally became very humble and he realized, I have done this nonsense to the Supreme Lord, who came as my own brother, Vaman Dev, to save me from Bali Maharaj. I was hiding. Bali was ruling the heavenly planets, and he appeared as a dwarf boy, and he took back my heaven from Bali and returned it to me. I have behaved this way to him. He became extremely sorry. At the same time, very afraid. What an offense I have committed to not only Krishna. If I commit an offense to Krishna, he may forgive. But I have committed offense to the people who are dearmost to him. His cows, his parents, his Vrajavasi friends. So he became very scared. He ran to Brahma and said, Brahmaji, I have committed this offense. Brahmaji said, what nonsense you have done? Just a while ago, I committed an offense to Krishna, but you have done something worse. How can I help you? I cannot help you at all. Then he said, you go to Surabhi. Surabhi is the mother of all cows and she lives in heaven. You go to Surabhi and beg her to accompany you to Krishna. She will plead on your behalf and then Krishna will forgive you. If you commit an offense to a Vaishnava, only a Vaishnava can plead on your behalf to Krishna. There are so many stories. Maybe another day we will talk about Ambarish Maharaj's story. But here, Indra goes and begs Surabhi, oh mother of all cows, please come with me to Krishna. I want to seek forgiveness. And Surabhi is also very merciful. And she immediately agreed, oh Arjuna, oh Indra, come, I will go with you. So together they came down. And at that time, Krishna is also so merciful. Before this, what Krishna did? He told people, okay, now the rain has stopped. Please, all of you, go out and return to your homes. Nothing is damaged. You can go home peacefully. Everybody went out. But then the cows turned their head to see Krishna and they started running back. Krishna said, no, all of you return. Then finally, he put the mountain down. It is said in Bhagavatam, Krishna lifted the mountain like a baby will lift a mushroom from the ground. Or like an elephant will lift a lotus flower. Like that he lifted over them. He put the mountain back and then he went to a secluded place so that Indra could come and meet him. See, despite the offense that Indra has done, Krishna is not angry. Why? Because it was an opportunity of reciprocation with the Vrajavasis. For 7 days and 7 nights, there was a complete reciprocation of love and everybody, including Krishna, was satisfied. So Krishna was not angry. Indra came behind Surabhi. Surabhi came in front and told Krishna, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. It's a prayer of Kunti. So Surabhi begged Krishna, Indra is now repentant. He realizes that he has done a great offense to you and to the cows who are dearest to you. Please forgive him and accept him as your devotee once again. Then Indra came and fell at the lotus feet of Krishna and kept the crown on the feet of Krishna. Krishna then smiled and he said, all right, you are forgiven. Then Surabhi wanted to perform an abhishek to Krishna with her own milk. So with milk, a nice abhishek was performed. Then Indra created a kund and with Airavata, his elephant, he performed an abhishek for Krishna and declared him as the Lord of the universe. That is called Govinda Kund. All these places are still available on the Parikrama path of Govardhan Hill. And then they performed a nice Aarti to Krishna. Brahmaji came, Indra and all the people, demigods, they performed a nice arati and they went back to their heaven. And Krishna, just as a small 7-year-old boy, he accepted all this worship. But the cowherd boys were hiding and watching this. And then they all came out. And then all the arati paraphernalia used by Brahma, Indra, and others were lying there, all golden paraphernalia studded with precious stones and all. With these, the Gopa boys performed a mock arati for Krishna. But this arati was not with any great respect and all, It was with pure love. And the devatas from the heaven, they were watching this beautiful scenery. The boys are in great love of Krishna, but there's no awe and reverence or respect. They're just performing this nice arati, singing and dancing around Krishna. Then everybody went back home at the end of this wonderful pastime. Here we see Krishna balancing the hill on his hand, and Indra is simultaneously attacking the mountain with his lightning and thunder. These are some more pictures of this beautiful Giridhari, Girivaradhari. So, Govardhan Hill is called as Haridasa Varya. Haridasa Varya means, Hari means Krishna, Dasa means servant of Krishna, Varya means the best. He is considered as the best of the servants of Krishna because all the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani, almost entirely, most of them take place on this Govardhan Hill. Some other day we will discuss these various pastimes. We can go on talking about it. But Radharani calls Giriraj as Haridasa Varya, the best of the servants of Krishna, because of the so many ways in which Giri Govardhan helps Krishna in his pastimes, in arranging his pastimes on a everyday basis. So here Indra is coming and begging forgiveness, but actually, according to Bhagavatam, he approached in a secluded place because after all, Indra is the king of the heaven. So he should not be belittled. So Krishna, he knows all kinds of etiquette. So he did not shame Indra. Once his pride was smashed, because Krishna never tolerates pride on the part of his devotees. Whenever somebody becomes proud, that pride stands in front of him and prevents him from reciprocating with Krishna. If a devotee of Krishna becomes proud, his happiness immediately dips. And Krishna doesn't like it. Krishna wants everybody to enjoy the ananda of Krishna Prem all the time, ever increasing. So whenever ego crops up, he will smash it for the benefit of that soul. So similar way, here Krishna is smashing the pride of Indra. Like yesterday we heard how he smashed the pride of Brahma. And when their pride is smashed, they don't become sorry, morose, depressed. You see, they all become filled with joy and their love becomes double. That is how Krishna smashes the pride. If we try to smash the pride of somebody, there is always so much hostility, enmity, animosity, jealousy, and there is so much suffering and bad words are exchanged. But see the beautiful way Krishna reciprocates with his devotees, even when they misbehave with him. And here is Indra begging forgiveness to Krishna, and Krishna and Sarabhi cow is standing, and then Krishna forgives him. And this is Airavata performing Abhishek to Lord Sri Krishna. So with this we come to the end of today's session. Let us all pray to the Lord to bless us with love to his own lotus feet, that we will never forget him, we will always remember him. These are the only two rules of Krishna Bhakti. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. These are the only two rules. All the rules in the Shastras are only to assist these two rules. Get it very clear in your mind. Anything that helps you to remember Krishna and anything that helps you to avoid forgetting Krishna, these are the things that you should always accept in your life. These are the only two rules. Even though the Vedic scriptures contain unlimited number of rules, They are all meant to support these two rules only. Supposing you follow all the rules of the Vedas, but you are breaking these two rules, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, then you have failed in your life. You are strictly following the dharma, the rules of the Vedas and Upanishads and the Puranas and Itihasas. You are strictly following all the rules, but you have no love for Krishna. Then it's all completely wasted. Or if you have love for Krishna in your heart, and you are always lovingly remembering, talking about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, but you are not following any of the other rules, you are perfect. There is no sin incurred by missing out on the other rules. Why? Because all the other rules are meant to bring you to this platform of Smartavyam Satadam Vishnu, Vismartavyam Najaduchit. That is the Sanskrit translation of always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. All the other rules are meant to bring us to this platform of loving Krishna always. So what is the use of following all those rules, but not following these two rules? So this is the understanding that we should all have. Krishna says, I am the maker of the Vedas. Vedaischa sarver ahamyeva vedyam. The object of the Vedas, that which should be known through the Vedas is me, Arjuna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declares, Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedyam. Only I am to be known from all the Vedas. There is nothing else in the Vedas. But in an indirect way, the Vedas try to push you towards Krishna. But you read the Vedas, but in the process, you become proud and puffed up and you forget Krishna, then you have missed the essence of the Vedas. Krishna says, Vedantavid Vedakrideva Chaham. I am the master of the Vedas. I am the creator of the Vedas. And I am the one to be known through the Vedas. So, if you become my devotee, there is no more need for the Vedas and the scriptures. This is the message of the Govardhan Leela. So, let us carry this in our heart. I wish all the viewers a very happy Janmashtami. We will return again during the weekend with more classes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.